This is my hometown. It's not that special, but it's home. It's quiet. My life here has been quiet. Content. This town is important to some. It's important to my parents. Important to the locals. This town is important to me, but I hate it. You'd like to feel as if your time in a place mattered, that your youth will remain in a place that remembers you, acknowledges your existence. Through my short life, I've come to find out that home is not a town. It's a place. It's the place you feel most free. This is the place I've known my entire life, and have felt like an outsider in for as long as I can remember. On a straight road with passerby, blink and you can miss it. But for some, it's all they have. High school heroes with pickup trucks and dirty jeans. It's hard to sound positive when I look in the mirror and see nothing of my home etched in my face. Maybe I just have that same failed attitude and don't even know it. Downtown, there's a shop with a faded dragonfly painted on the doors. I was told that the guy who owned it died in there. Everything is left the way it was. There's even still a note in the window. Parts run. Townies run this neck of the woods. My father has lived here over 25 years and doesn't feel any more a local than I do with my 22. Your last name is everything around here. It's hard to feel like you belong in a town that doesn't know your name. The bar uptown is where all the locals meet near dinner time. Most of them sit talking, discussing self-worth and drinking watery beer. The pizza's good though. It's half off on Wednesdays. There's a little ice cream shop now, and people seem to like that. It helps them forget all the things they think they don't have. A little soft serve can go a long way. Sometimes I'll ride my bike around town, and people on their porches will wave, an eerie look in their eye. Maybe they think I'm somebody else. The boy that cut their grass that one summer, or the guy on their kids' baseball team. No, that's not me. And I don't even know them, but we keep waving anyways. Most people can get lost in the chaos and monotony of city life. Here I can get lost in the nothingness of cornfields and dirt roads. It's always fun to look down the railroad tracks. I've done it since I was a kid. In the back of your head, you know they lead to the next stop at the next town. But staring at them like this makes it seem as if they run straight into infinity, straight and narrow, just like this town. This is the building I've spent the better part of my life in. I passed through those halls for 12 years, and do those walls even know my name? I'm sure it's written down on some dusty papers in there somewhere. I've spent the majority of my life afraid of speaking up. My dad told me a story of a time I came home from grade school, sad and quiet. He asked me what was wrong, and I told him they were giving out cookies in class. I let everyone go in front of me, and I was too shy to say I wanted one too. I never got that cookie. I remember the moments I cried in school clearly. It didn't happen a lot. It wasn't some basket case. It only happened out of frustration and embarrassment. The time I couldn't comprehend long division and threw my head down on the desk. The time they threw that pickle and it stuck to my cheek. Actually, those are the only two I remember. It's easy for me to think this town might be cursed, or at least the street we live on. At one point, a spurt of unfortunate things happened to the people on the street. My father came down with his illness, and shortly after, a neighbor across the street died. I remember talks of a planned housing development that would connect our street with the next one over. It never happened. This is a town stuck in time, unable to grow, willing to stay the same. My dad told me that east of Ridge Highway, a long, long time ago, all this land was swamp. Early settlers cut down the hills and carried them by horse and buggy to build up the land. What is it really filled with? I don't think I live on tainted land, but it does seem odd. I went to see an old barn the other day and it wasn't there. It wasn't a surprise, but it left me with a sense of loneliness when I saw the dark patches of green grass where it used to stand. I never took a picture of it, so now it's just a fuzzy brown shape in my mind. As I'm writing this down, I'm slowly forgetting its details. Then it will truly be gone. Oh yeah, and I'm pretty sure the guy at the end of my street, I think he sells drugs. I'm not really that cynical. I have a lot of fun here too. My parents raised me in this home. It's quiet and warm. It's not glamorous, but it is beautiful. It's beautiful because my mom lives here, and my dad lives here. If someone asked you to draw a house, what would you draw? Would it be symmetrical? Would it be crooked? What color would it be? Would it be big or small? Flashy or modest? I used to think that there was such a thing as a perfect house. A big white house with a red door and green grass. I used to think that. When I was younger, a crazy witch lady used to live next door. Early in the morning, she would bang on her pots and pans, and then later call the police on my father for no reason. She lived in a red log cabin that I could see through the cracks in the wooden fence. Eventually, a privacy fence wasn't enough for her, and she picked up and left. They picked up her house too and took it away, moved it to the next town over. After they took the house away, I remember playing in the rocks and standing in the hole that was once a house that I never entered. Have you ever just watched someone walk into the distance until they're just a little speck on the horizon and then they're gone? It makes you realize your sight is limited. There's some things that your eyes won't let you see unless you stand up and move in the direction of that little speck. Right off the main road, they started building a trailer park. They paved a few windy roads into a loop, but nothing ever came of it. They let it go, and now it's overgrown and wild. It grows and no one will stop it. Where homes could be, just lie the ideas of homes. If I were writing this letter to my younger self, overall I would tell him to be happy. Happy that he has two loving parents that made a home for him where he could be safe and get a good education. Happy that they let him make his own choices while always being there to guide him if he were to stumble. Happy they gave him a backyard to play in and books and movies to stimulate his imagination. I would tell him to love his home for what it is and not ask any more from it than it already gives. I would tell him to keep dreaming every night and never fear the nightmares, but to learn from them. I would tell myself to love unconditionally and never forget to smile. I would tell him to live and to keep living until the day he ceases to be. I hope he gets that letter, and it's worn and crinkled, and he keeps it in his pocket so he won't forget. He's alive, and life is worth living. I'll tell him that he can leave, but to always come back to this town.